Hello and welcome to my short session on understanding global citizenship education. My name is Pak Soon-Yong and I am a professor at Yonsei University in Seoul, Korea. In the following short presentation, I will introduce to you the concept of global citizenship and global citizenship education, followed by how such an abstraction can be embodied in today's practical context. Let me start out by providing you with some guiding questions. First, we will look into how we can define the term global and the term citizenship. Then we will explore what the combination of the two terms in global citizenship represents. Next, I will discuss how global citizenship education, or GCED, emerged as a working definition, especially given the relevance in today's global context. Also, I will talk about how we may integrate GCED into actual learning experiences. And finally, I will make a few suggestions on the future direction of GCED. Let's begin by understanding the term global. The term global is tied to a set of binary opposition, convergence versus divergence, homogeneity versus diversity. What this means is that the world is increasingly interconnected and mutually exercising influence, while at the same time, diversity is recognized and respected. Interestingly, when we look at the term global citizenship, it consists of a paradoxical combination of the global that implies no territorial boundary nor governing political entity, and citizenship, which denotes membership and allegiance to an exclusive collective governed by a central political authority. Let me explain further by exploring the definition of citizenship. The impression is that citizenship is exercised as a member of an exclusive national entity. However, such working definition does not apply in the case of global citizenship. The term citizenship in global citizenship refers to a sense of belonging to the global community facing common challenges today. It means sharing a sense of urgency to find solutions to such common problems. In this context, citizenship has to do with solidarity and collective responsibility at the global level. In short, citizenship must be understood in line with civic duty or civic volunteerism, where the spirit of putting the interest of the group, in this case, humanity, before the individual or the locality. Now, let's explore global citizenship in more detail. What is it? Why do we need it now? And how can we make it work in a meaningful way? To begin with, what is global citizenship? It is an inclusive ethos that allows us to share a common vision for a better and sustainable world. Next comes the question, why do we need it now? Global citizenship is actually not a novel concept. Institutions such as the United Nations is a clear example of how we incorporate global citizenship to operate functionally within the international parameters. But above all, global citizenship in today's context highlights the need to bring awareness and action to common global problems. Finally, how can global citizenship become meaningful? In the end, for global citizenship to become meaningful, it has to foster an all-encompassing spirit of volunteerism and commonwealth. Now, to come to the main point of this presentation, how do we understand and utilize global citizenship education? Is there a valid proposition to embrace global citizenship into the educational processes? I would like to emphasize that GCED is a way to promote a broader sense of inclusion in a global community facing common challenges and a sense of urgency to remedy these challenges. It should override the inconsistencies attributed to the varying local contexts in which the term is appropriated. Next, I will map out the position of GCED vis-à-vis other similar efforts that have existed over many years. To help you understand where GCED stands, I would like to show you the trajectory and lineage of the various lines of GCED-related activities that have evolved over time in different localities throughout the world. As you can see, we can trace such developments from three origins: environment education, civic education, and development education. It seems that these three strands of development converge to make GCED a comprehensive reality through which we can practice global citizenship in various learning environments. It also means that GCED as an umbrella concept has the potential to provide a line of communication that bring together various efforts to improve the global situation. To further illustrate the relevance of GCED to mainstream education practices, I have broken it down to three avenues through which we can explore its utility. First, how do we convince the necessity of global citizenship? GCED can become relevant if it is rooted in a common vision of sustainable well-being for all humanity. At the same time, it has to provide a sense of urgency on how decisions made today will impact our future. Secondly, what do we need to facilitate the education for global citizenship? We need to view the global as a dynamic, not static, entity. GCED can be promoted when it is understood through common understanding and a working definition. Finally, we need to address the issue of how we make education work alongside global citizenship. GCED should serve as a way to bridge individual worldviews with those of others by providing contextual knowledge and guidance for positive action. One of the ways to achieve this is through exposure to cases around the world that has significant impact on the way we deal with impending issues. I would like to provide you with a concrete example to illustrate how GCED can help us understand global issues at hand. You may or may not have heard about the Somali piracy in the Indian Ocean that have made headlines in the recent past. These menacing men in the picture display a typical pirate raid against the merchant ship that is passing by. We can simply regard them as pirates and therefore international criminals that threaten our sea trade routes. However, before we point fingers at these perpetrators by simply infusing our value judgment, we perhaps need to understand the context of why such piracy occurs so frequently in Somali waters. These pirates were not born as pirates, and I do not imagine that they wish to stay as pirates. Many of them were actually local fishermen who lived along the coastline of Somalia. During the prolonged period where Somalia's central government was in an anarchic state, their ocean territory was not guarded. It opened the doors to illegal trespassing of ships operated by different nationalities who came to overfish and deplete the resources or dump their trash to make the seas unbearable for ocean life. Because their livelihood was taken away from them, the local Somali fishermen armed themselves in order to guard their seas, but in the end evolved to resort to piracy for their own survival. What this example suggests is that global issues are not simple. The Somali piracy issue involves armed violence, territorial rights, environmental degradation issues, etc., that we need to contextualize and approach from multiple perspectives in order to come up with a tangible solution. GCED is a way to help us gain such insight. Next, I would like to make some suggestions on how to integrate GCED into actual learning experiences. First of all, we must not simplify GCED as a learning package. In fact, it is necessary to recognize that global citizenship is not merely adding some international content into existing courses. At the other extreme, GCED should not be based on simplistic idealism and imagined solidarity. Instead, GCED need to sensitize issues of power relations and the process of knowledge construction based on those relations in today's context. In fact, one of GCED's role will involve continuously balancing the diverse voices that surround major issues in the world context. I would like to conclude with some suggestions for the future of GCED. First, I'd like to see GCED not confine itself to quick responses to changes at various levels taking place around the world. It has to continue to generate discussions and interest on global issues. Second, GCED need not limit itself to formal schooling or focus mainly on individual competencies. In fact, GCED should be considered as a lifelong learning experience that enables people to internalize a frame of mind that puts the interest of humanity above all else. Finally, GCED should explore new avenues of communication and new forms of literacies in order to maximize its relevance. In other words, the world has to be on the same page and speak through a common understanding. So far, I have explained some basic concepts surrounding global citizenship education and how we can transform such an abstract concept into a practical and functioning one. As you can see in this world map, from the perspective of the Southern Hemisphere, there are as many ways to look at our world today as there are people. GCED is a way to incorporate such diverse views into how and what we teach, nurture a flexible and open mind, and develop a sense of communal obligation to the betterment of our world. In this short session, I hope you gained a better idea about the concepts of global citizenship and global citizenship education, and also how they can be embodied in today's context. Thank you for your attention.